Hey guys, welcome to this course now on an introduction to Jiu Jitsu. My name is Scott Sullivan. I am a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Been doing it for a long time. I started back in 1994 when I watched the first UFC. Was just mesmerized at how, Jiu Jitsu skill can be used to overcome bigger and stronger attackers. And so I fell in love with it. I've been doing it ever since. I've trained with some of the greats, Rickson Gracie. I've trained in Brazil. And I have a school in Houston, Texas called Bam Bam Jiu Jitsu Academy. You're welcome to come by and give us a visit if you're ever in town. But this is a course on beginning Jiu Jitsu. I want to get you started. I want to take you from the very beginning. I want to work with someone who doesn't know anything about this amazing martial art and get you up to speed. Now, I just want to say something just right out of the gate up front here, because in the Jiu Jitsu world right now, there are two main approaches as to how this art is taught. The most common way is sport jiu-jitsu. It's jiu-jitsu designed for tournaments, and that's great. You can learn a lot of skill. You can gain a lot of skill doing tournaments. It's an environment where you've got high-level jiu-jitsu guy versus high-level jiu-jitsu guy, and they just go at it. And it does teach a lot of important fighting skills and fighting virtues. However, because of the rules in the sport, like anything else, it's not as realistic as it could be. In other words, the rules provide a certain environment. They create a certain environment where you're allowed to do a lot of things that would help you win the tournament that you would never do on the street. And so there's a lot of artificiality being created here by the confines, by the protection of just the tournament rules. So although training for jiu-jitsu tournaments can be a good way to build a ton of jiu-jitsu skill, and those guys are amazing, no doubt about it. Still, I don't think it's the best way for a beginner to approach jiu-jitsu if they're coming for the most common reason, which is self-defense. And that's the second reason why people train in jiu-jitsu. And it's also another focal point for how jiu-jitsu is taught. That's the second sort of focus or goal, is self-defense. And so that's my focus, okay? What I'm going to teach you here is jiu-jitsu for fighting, jiu-jitsu for self-defense, jiu-jitsu for when, you're out walking in the Walmart parking lot and some guy tackles you on the ground. When some guy comes and attacks your family, I want you to have the most essential jiu-jitsu skills to handle that kind of situation, real life fighting. And that's a different kind of approach. That calls for a different kind of training, you see. When you're trying to learn jiu-jitsu to fight someone who's bigger than you are, maybe drunk, maybe on drugs, trying to pound your face in a hamburger on the ground, that calls for a different set of skills, a different set of techniques than if you're training for going against another jiu-jitsu guy doing some kind of fancy jiu-jitsu moves on you. That's a different kind of attacker, you see. So these are two different training methods, and there's nothing wrong with the sporting aspect. I like to train that way too. It's a ton of fun. However, it's not the same as training for self-defense. So my jiu-jitsu style, my belief is that martial arts should always be about self-defense first and foremost. And so that's what we're going to focus on here. Jiu-jitsu for a real street fight. I'm going to teach you the most important things you need to know to win a real street fight. And jiu-jitsu is really, the best way to go about that. And that being said now, so now that you know what we're doing, it's kind of an introduction to self-defense oriented jiu-jitsu. That's what we're going to be covering here. Now that you know that, I want to give you some reasons here why I think really jiu-jitsu is the best martial art in the world. And I've done a lot. I've done everything. I've trained in kung fu. I've done karate. I've done all that stuff. Okay, and there are some good aspects to all of these martial arts. However, I think jiu-jitsu is the best martial art. And let me just kind of explain to you why I think that and give you 5 reasons why I think that. First of all, let me just clarify what I mean. Let me define my terms by what I mean best. By best, I'm just thinking in terms of purpose fulfillment, okay? If you are studying a martial art to defend yourself on the street, then jiu-jitsu is the best way to go. It's the set of skills that's going to get you to that goal. Okay, let me give you 5 reasons why Jiu-Jitsu is going to get you there better than any other martial art will, okay? Number one is Jiu-Jitsu works. This stuff works great. You know, a lot of martial arts, they teach things that are kind of theory-based. You know, if he does this, you're going to do this, and then that's going to take him down, and then you're going to win. And it's never really battle-tested. You know, you kind of have these ideas. It kind of looks good on paper, in a sense, when you're working with a cooperative partner in the dojo or the school. But it's never battle-tested against an opponent who is resisting 100%, you see. That is not true with Jiu-Jitsu. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's very scientific. And what I mean is that all this stuff is battle-tested. You can have an idea, you can learn a Jiu-Jitsu move, and then go out and practice it for real against a person who's resisting 100%, you see. And if you get that move, you make him tap. Let's say you're shooting for a chokehold, okay? And so you're going to go and you're going to grapple a guy, and you're going 100%. And you get that chokehold on him and he taps out, it works. You know that it works. You got it on him and he was trying 100% to stop you, you see. So what I'm saying here is that these jiu-jitsu moves, they're battle tested. They're not just theory. It's not just guesswork. It's proven. There's a real scientific proving ground going on here on these mats, okay? And I think that's just invaluable. You can have real confidence. You can know that your jiu-jitsu works because you've done it before. You see what I mean? And I think it's just amazing for that reason. And so jiu-jitsu has been developing in this kind of a lab environment for a long time. The lab of the mats, you know. And you know, you get an idea, you get a hypothesis about a move. Maybe this will work. Okay, well, let's try it. Oh, it works. Okay, great. Keep it. Let's try it. Oh, it doesn't work. Throw it out. You see? So it's been this kind of a scientific process of hypotheses, verification, or rejection. You see what I mean? So I don't think it's inappropriate to use this term scientific when it's applied to Jiu-Jitsu. This is stuff that just has been proven to work. And if you don't believe it, you can Google some YouTube stuff, or put YouTube some stuff, or Google some stuff, and look at some videos and see what I'm talking about here, okay? So it's extremely effective. Some have even said that Jiu-Jitsu gives you a kind of a superpower, all right? That's the first reason why I think Jiu-Jitsu is the best martial art in the world, is because it just works, all right? The second reason is because Jiu-Jitsu specializes in ground fighting. It's a ground-based martial art, and that is the most critical area for real fights. Real fights, you know, they don't look like the movies. Not a bunch of stand-up punches and kicks all the time. What usually happens is maybe a punch or two, but the guys will lock up and they fall on the ground, okay? Once you get on the ground, that is the Jiu-Jitsu man's world. You are in his universe right now. If you don't know how to fight on the ground, and you're with a Jiu-Jitsu guy you're fighting with a Jiu-Jitsu guy who does, you're toast, man. You see him, that's his world. So most fights are going to end up on the ground. Not all of them, and they all start standing up. I agree with that. But most fights will go boosh, they fall on the ground, and once the fight gets down there, it's all Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, so if you know how to fight on the ground and the other guy doesn't, he doesn't have a chance. All right, so that's why with Jiu-Jitsu you are mastering the art of ground fighting, which is the most crucial area for real fights. All right, that's the second reason. Third reason why I think Jiu-Jitsu is the best martial art in the world is that Jiu-Jitsu allows for degrees of force. This is very important. The force you can apply with Jiu-Jitsu is degreeable, okay? You don't just have a one answer for everything, right? Let's say your favorite striking move is a knee to someone's face. That's your self-defense move. Well, that's good for some situations, but it's not good for all situations. You see what I mean? Suppose you're just at an office party, and a coworker or a boss has had a little bit too much to drink, and he's just kind of giving you a little static. Are you going to knee him in the face? You know what I mean? Or suppose you're with you're someone you know is just kind of holding you a little bit too tightly at a party or whatever. You know, it's getting a little bit uncomfortable. You know, striking is not appropriate in these situations. You see, so this Jiu-Jitsu, you can win a fight in multiple ways. You can take a guy down and just control him. No strikes at all. You can win a whole fight without ever throwing a punch. A lot of times, especially with kids, you could take the attacker down, or the person, the antagonist, you could take him down and control him on the ground, and that's the end. He's kind of intimidated. He feels like he's been bested, you know, he's been dominated on the ground. He can't get out, and the fight can end right there without anything else, just controlling him on the ground. We also can have joint locks where you can apply just a little bit of force and negotiate in the fight that way. Hey man, you can leave me alone, or I'll crank your arms some more. Okay, it's cool. And then we can go all the way from that, all the way up to lethal chokeholds, breaking bones, and the most damaging of moves. So you have this whole spectrum of damage that you can do in jiu-jitsu that you just can't do with an elbow to the face. That's just kind of a one answer to everything, and it's just not appropriate for all situations. Now, I'm not an attorney, of course, but having this range of force options is very important for legal reasons. You see what I mean? You can just, jiu-jitsu means gentle skill. You can win a fight very gently if you want to, if the circumstances call for that. So you can be very gentle in your self-defense, or you can be very damaging in your self-defense, but jiu-jitsu gives you those options. Do you see what I mean? You have a whole range here to choose from, not just break somebody's nose. So jiu-jitsu allows for degrees of force, and I think that is also a big benefit of it. And number 4, jiu-jitsu gives smaller and weaker people the ability to beat bigger and stronger attackers. This is huge. This is just huge. A lot of martial arts purport to do that, but they don't, okay? Size does matter, but it's not the only factor, okay? With jiu-jitsu, if you know how to fight on the ground and you're a smaller guy and you get a bigger guy on the ground, if you know the techniques and he doesn't, he's just toast. And if you don't believe me, just Google a jiu-jitsu school in your area, go take a trial class over there, and when it comes time to roll, which just means to wrestle, pick a small guy in the room who's got some kind of colored belt on, a blue belt, purple belt, brown, whatever, and roll with him, and you'll see what I mean real fast, okay? So jiu-jitsu allows the smaller, weaker person to overcome the larger person. The reason why is because jiu-jitsu is based on technique and leverage. Once you get a certain chokehold or a lock or a hold, these things are technique-based. The success of these moves is based on technique more than strength. So you can use technique to overcome force, and that is a huge advantage for smaller people. The 5th reason why I think jiu-jitsu is the best martial art in the world is it is just a ton of fun. When you get to rolling, the act of just grappling with a partner, it is very addictive. It's the best stress reliever in the world. I could be having a bad day, I go to the academy and I start rolling, and man, all my troubles just go away. It's a ton of fun rolling with your friends. It's just addictive. And if you haven't done it, then I highly recommend it. And not only that, it's also intellectually engaging. There are thousands of moves in jiu-jitsu: sweeps, arm locks, chokes. You can't learn them all. I don't know them all. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I don't know them all. Nobody does. It's constantly evolving all the time, and it's just so mentally engaging that you never get bored. So you've got this training environment where you get to roll and have fun, learning new moves all the time. It's just a ton of fun. So I hope you're going to love your journey in jiu-jitsu. It'll be very rewarding, I promise you. It'll give you self-defense, it'll give you fitness, and you're going to have a lot of fun in the process.